Minister, my question is very specific. I'm asking for an update on the status of the development of the register of lands, of relevant lands, and if the Land Development Agency is on track to complete the register.
Thank you, Deputy Connolly. The LDA, I can tell you, is on schedule to complete the register of relevant lands in line with the target delivery date, and the register will be made available in an online map format in the coming weeks in advance of the end of this year. Its contents are informed by the LDA's State Lands database and by engagement with the Property Registration Authority, Ordnance Survey Ireland, and indeed other relevant public bodies. Relevant public land is defined in the LDA Act as all land within a census town owned by a relevant public body. A census town is any urban area with a population of over 10,000, accurate to the last census information. The register will serve as an important and strategic mapping tool that will show the extent of public lands and, in my belief, will help to enhance transparency regarding state lands interests. The register will be maintained and updated by the Land Development Agency. The register will support the LDA's remit to identify and assess the potential of certain public lands to be better utilised for the development of housing and other development into the future. The database being available in full is very important progress, and I expect it will play quite a significant role in identifying public land for strategic development for both social and affordable housing. So just to confirm to Deputy Connolly, it is on track, it is on schedule. I actually expect to see details next week. As soon as the work is concluded, it will be published, as I said, in an online format with a mapping tool there so everyone can assess it, because we want to see particularly idle state lands, Deputy, developed for social and affordable housing. And thankfully we're seeing that this year. We're seeing the LDA deliver their first homes this year. We've seen significant sites like Shangana Castle start. There are many others across the country, sites as well in Galway in your own constituency too, that I want to see us move forward with.
I welcome the positive news. However, I say it guardedly, my welcome, because the LDA was set up on a non-statutory basis over 4 years ago. And the first job they were to do was to carry out an audit. And over 4 years later, we don't have the audit. They're now on a statutory basis for over a year, and we still don't have the audit. So I welcome it. If you're saying we're going to have it by the end of the year, that's positive. I am concerned. First of all, we need that. It's the most basic tool, and we have a housing crisis. As I listen to the headlines today, once again, the Simon community in Galway, the head of the Simon community, has made known her absolute fear at what's happening in Galway. The level of homelessness is rising, and there are no available properties under any of the RAS or HAP schemes. So in relation to this, the most basic thing is to get it, and then how it's used. And I have a worry that we might be using some of it inappropriately in an emergency situation. If recreational land, if land is owned recreational and amenity, I have a difficulty in relation to that it might be taken. I'll stop on time and come back.
No, and thanks again, Deputy, for the question. And I understand what you're saying. One of the priorities that I had as Minister when I came in was to actually legislate for the Land Development Agency, which we've done. And the agency is capitalised, and the agency is now delivering its first homes and has done extensive work in relation to planning and mapping out relevant sites. I think it's important that people understand that the register of lands will show the state-owned lands. I remember this when it came up in debates before. It's not a question that high amenity lands or recreational lands, even if they're included in the register, it will show, what the zoning of those lands are, and then we decide what the appropriate use is. So I would be saying to communities where recreational lands zoned as such, we've enough idle state land to deliver homes in residentially zoned land or in brownfield sites within our towns and cities. And they're the ones we're going to be focusing on, Deputy Connolly, I can assure you of that.
Yeah, I find that a little reassuring, Minister, that we'll be focusing on brownfield sites. I find that a little reassuring. However, I worry about the recreational land, and I hear what you're saying, because I've seen in the past a move to change it many's the times by councillor motions, I have to say, which they're still doing in Galway, rezoning land. But that's one aspect of it. The second aspect, and I think of Merlin Park Woods, and there was a huge battle to save Merlin Park Woods, which really is the equivalent of the park in New York. Which started out at 800 acres. In Galway, it's 150 acres and should be used to its maximum potential for amenity. But be that as it may, just to conclude in relation to, what about organisations that are not public entities, like religious organisations or other institutions that have land? Will we ever look at that to see what potential is there in relation to that? And I worry in relation to Galway City, there is no overall master plan for the common good. There is no architect and there is no joined up thinking between the public land in the docks, Kent Station, Sandy Road and Headford Road. That's a serious concern for me.
Thanks, Deputy. Look, I know Galway very well. I know the city, the county. I've been out in Connemara as well on a number of occasions in the city. There are lands in the county of Galway, the Dyke Road site, which you'll be familiar with, the Sandy Road site as well. There are sites there that we can develop. What the register will do is obviously the state lands. You've mentioned in relation to, for example, religious order lands. We're seeing some of that come forward in local areas, and I want to see that. I've written to both churches, actually, both of the main churches, should I say, and engage with them about how we could actually get that land for development of housing, because fundamentally we need more homes. We need more social homes, and I'm pleased to tell the Deputy that we're going to deliver more social homes this year, new build social homes and new social homes than we've done in decades, affordable homes for the first time in a generation, and that's happening. And I welcome the Deputy's support for that. I genuinely, and I mean this, I do not believe that through the LDA there should be no concerns of local residents anywhere in the country. The land zone for recreation will be used in an inappropriate way at all. We've enough developable lands. You've mentioned the docks site in Galway. I'm very familiar with that too. And I'm very anxious to see us move forward. Good thing this year is we've seen significant sites like Shangana, as I mentioned as well, significant sites in Kevins and Cork, work starting. They're the ones we're going after, Deputy.